All right, Ken, you've covered NASCAR for a while now. I know I've covered four Daytona 500s. I think
Woo!
your time's 10 or 11 that. You were born what, a couple of football punts away from Big Bill Francis Speedway.
A couple of Ray Guy punts
Yeah,
probably.
all
Or
right, all right.
Russell Erxleben if you want to go way back.
All this to say, you're an expert. We know this. These are the facts. Um,
Oh,
what is the best NASCAR season you have ever seen with your own two eyes?
well, we all know about the great seasons Richard Petty had where he just thoroughly dominated, but that was before my two eyes were focused on it.
Right?
If we're just going sheer numbers, I would say I remember '98. Jeff Gordon had 13 wins, and the season was shorter than it is now. It was 31 or 32 races long. He had 13 wins. That was coming off a season when he won 10 times, which came off another season where he won 10 times. So yeah, that's 20. That's by my math. That's 33 wins over three seasons. So that '98, he won 13 times, just thoroughly dominated. That has to be because it was. I can just remember you were so tired of him winning that it was almost a surprise when he didn't win. His season it was very similar to around that same time what Tiger Woods was doing on the PGA Tour. You know, between '98 or '99 and through the mid 2000s, or up till about 2008 actually 2009 for Tiger. God, time flies. It was you were surprised when he didn't win, and Jeff Gordon. We made fun of him because he got out of the car every time. The car was awesome. This was awesome. That was awesome, and yeah, it was an awesome season. I will say that. But he always acted like he was couldn't believe he won. 13 times he pulled that off where he got out and acted like, oh, I can't believe we won. And you go, of course you won.
I don't
So
think
anyway,
Tiger was acting surprised, was he?
not like that. No, he would smile and thank everybody, but he was not. He wasn't that giddy.
I say all this to start this edition of Daytona Motor Mouths, to
Yeah.
lead you with this question. What's the best NASCAR start to a season you've ever seen? Because I think we might be watching one of the
Yeah.
contenders.
Yeah, they talked about only again, this is shocking when you talk about something like this and Richard Petty's not mentioned. But they're talking about two guys before this year who had won four of the first six cup races. And Richard Petty, even in the year when he won like what 27 races, he's not one of them. And the two were like Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, like in '87 and '92. And when I read that, I'd totally forgotten that in '92 Bill Elliott got out of the box like that because the thinking was he was kind of he was no longer awesome Bill, dominating everybody in that Ford Thunderbird, although he was obviously still at top of his game. But I'd forgotten he had gotten off to that good of a start. And now here's little tiny little Tyler Reddick coming up there and wins four out of the first six. I thought for sure he'd be done winning for a while after winning those first three. I was quite certain he would win again this season and probably more than once, but I didn't think he'd turn around, 3 weeks later and win at Darlington. But I was watching pole qualifying on Saturday, and I was just keeping track of the speeds, and everybody, the fastest guys were averaging 167 and change around the track, and nobody could, they're gonna can somebody's gonna get to 168 win the pole. Here he comes out, about 10 guys from the end of the qualifying lineup, and takes it over 169. I'm like, holy mackerel! I mean, that's you just go, whoa, wait a minute, let's go check, let's check that fuel gauge, let's check the fuel, see what they slipped in there, and it blew me away. And then Bubba, was right behind, and so there's the two teammates at 23:11. So they obviously they
You know where I was
obviously have
going
figured out
next.
something, and there's a lot of people out there who think, boy, they really have figured out something. So that we got a good old fashioned conspiracy theory in NASCAR, and the world is a better place when that happens. So it's fun. Speaking of Jeff Gordon, I wrote about that this week. Back during that era when he was winning all the time, there was the conspiracy theory was that his team was employing traction control, much like the F1 cars of the day. And they say he had traction control, which would help him get through the corners and not lose it. And obviously that would be a high tech no in NASCAR world, but that was the big rumor back then that was going around. So that now we don't know what to blame this on, other than the fact that it appears that the 2311 cars have a horsepower advantage. It is apparent to the naked eye, much less the stopwatch.
I was gonna say the Twitter world was like, did they negotiate a few extra horsies into that settlement during the offseason, that lawsuit settlement?
Who would suggest such a thing?
Well, the Twitter sphere. You know how that goes. You know
Yeah,
how that goes. But as you wrote earlier this week, it hasn't really worked out for the other team in that settlement, has it?
Front row motorsports.
Yeah.
No, they have a let's see, Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, and I'm forgetting the third guy, Todd Gilliland.
Yes.
They have each made 6 starts, so that's 18 combined starts, and they have a whopping 2 top 10s. So no, it has not worked out for them. Of course, they're not in a Toyota like the 2311 guys are, so maybe that's the catch. I don't know.
Well, they're also not they're also. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Something's up. We know that, and all throughout NASCAR history, auto racing history, eventually, off and on, some team or manufacturer finds something, and before long, the other teams find it too. And if they found something they weren't really supposed to find, that's when the technical inspection team comes in and says, "Wait a minute, we found a little glitch in the recipe here." But they're so high tech on that these days. I doubt that's the case. I bet they just found something that is making them faster, and the other teams will eventually catch up. Because why do I know that? Because they always do. So we'll wait and see.
That's fine. We'll take off the tinfoil hats for this week, but I am gonna keep mine right next to me just in case we need it again next week.
Yeah, it goes with anything. That tinfoil color, you can wear it with anything. Sequins. Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of next week, what are you expecting from Martinsville? So we're deep in the run of what you're calling the bread and butter ovals over the last few weeks.
Honest ovals.
Yeah. So what are you expecting come this Sunday?
Somebody to be, or a few teams be clearly better than the others. Right behind the 2311 cars this past week was apparently the RFK cars. Keselowski was put up all the fight he could. The Hendrick cars, if you're just judging recent history, like the next gen era, the last 4 years, the Hendrick cars are going to be good. They're going to be really good, and especially Kyle Larson. Ryan Blaney in the Ford should be good. I like to see Joey Logano finally do something. I mean, he's off to a slow start with the Penske team. So I think it's and of course Denny Hamlin. I think you're going to have 2 teams that will be clearly better than the others because it's a little over a half mile. It's a mix of asphalt, concrete in the turns. It's a unique place, and it's home to the Martinsville hot dog, which is the crystal burger of hot dogs, unless you live in a different part of the country and you call it the White Castle burger of hot dogs. It is truly a delight.
Real deluxe. I like that. You mentioned Keselowski. We at one point last year, I think you were just calling him poor old Brad because of how bad his start to last year. Really, his first half of last year was. This year, through the first 5 races, he had led 14 laps. This past weekend, he led a race high 142. So, maybe, not too bad. So he hasn't won since actually Darlington 2 years ago, but that's a sign of progress. Another one of those veteran racers who's been around forever and had a ton of success, Kyle Busch. If he does not win at Martinsville this week, he hits 100 straight races without a win. His previous high at any point in his career before that was 36. So just a couple of things to watch there.
Lord of mercy. Poor Kyle. Can we call him poor old Kyle?
Poor old Kyle.
Yeah, but I think that I think he's going to land somewhere next year and not be poor old Kyle. I hope that wherever he lands next season, that it's somewhere where he can run up front again. And I can't imagine he would. Of course, it's all timing. You got to you got to hit the open market at the right time when there's
Yep.
when the driver cycle turns in a way where there's some actual decent rides available.
I tell you what, he's got some history with Toyota, does he not? And there's a guy who owns a Toyota team named Michael Jordan, who you might have heard of, who that's that could be an interesting partnership if they want to sponsor a third full-time ride.
Yeah, I don't think that should be a huge issue, cobbling together some sponsorship if you're at one of the top teams and you can get Kyle Busch. I think that would be. We're already looking ahead to storylines for 2027. The biggest storyline will be, can Kyle Busch rejuvenate his have a resurgence in his Hall of Fame career? So, yeah, it's good to be ahead of the curve, and you just put us there. Good move.
That's Ken Willis. I'm Chris Vanell. This has been Daytona Motor Mouths. Ken, we'll do it again next week, and make sure to bring your tinfoil hat.
Yes, got it.